SANDPOINT Idaho, the dream town. Or is it? Let's talk about why some are packing their bags. Is SANDPOINT losing its soul? Are the changes driving longtime residents away? Today we are talking about the truth about SANDPOINT's growing pains and why it's not for everyone anymore. And we're going to get after it right now. Hi, if this is your first time to the channel, go ahead and please subscribe below. Tap the bell so you can be notified every time we talk about anything going on here in the North Idaho area. I'm Reed Wilson with Revealing North Idaho, longtime resident and 20-year real estate agent here in the Idaho area. And today we are going to talk about SANDPOINT, the exodus of SANDPOINT residents and kind of what's going on there and what's creating that. So to get started, let's put a little bit of this in context. If we look at what's going on there in the SANDPOINT area, I think first of all, we have to start with probably the biggest glaring problem right now, and that's SANDPOINT's housing market. So if we look at a medium home price in SANDPOINT, Idaho, it's climbed up to a whopping $700,000, which is up from $599,000 just a year ago in 2024, and up from $359,066 in 2020. Average days on market right now, about 154 days, and there is a population with a little over 10,000 residents there. So why are people leaving? Well, a few things. One is economic pressures, like we just talked about, rising housing costs. It's very hard to be a homeowner in that SANDPOINT area. Now, it's true there are some outside areas that people can go to. Clark Fork, if they wanted to make the drive back over into SANDPOINT, if that's where they're working. You could go up to Bonner's Ferry, over to the Priest River area. You can head south, maybe down more into that Coquilala area. But let's face it, in the SANDPOINT area, if you want to be in SANDPOINT with these housing costs, it is making it very hard to buy a home and to plant some foundation for yourself there. Even the rental market has gone up. And obviously, if you're paying more, if people are paying more for the homes, the rent is going to go up because they're trying to recoup their investment in a lot of these areas. But 3-bed, 2-bath, if you're around that 1,100 square feet, it's going to run you in that $2,000 to $2,500 range. Now, it's true you can get into maybe a 1-bedroom or something around that $800 to $1,200, but it is still quite expensive there. Limited job market doesn't help out a lot. A lot of what drives there is we have for work, you've got timber, you've got tourism, restaurants, with the lake there, you got Schweitzer ski area just up the mountain. So a lot of these, do not lend to jobs that are going to allow you to have a long-time career. A lot of people go into forestry, there's timber, there's a lot of self-employed people in those areas. So we have seen some of that going on that does help out. But as far as for most people, why people are leaving, economic pressures, rising housing costs, rising taxes with the housing costs, that limited job market, the property taxes has been a big one, even though we do get some tax breaks here in the Idaho area. When you jump your medium home price $100,000 in the last year and over $300,000 in the past 4 to 5 years, then we're just seeing a lot of taxes for those properties that are going up also. Community transformation has been another one. We're not seeing the same culture, which is probably another one right there, the changing of the local culture that is changing as these people come in into this SANDPOINT area. Rapid population growth. We have seen a lot of people move into that area, and I think that's created some of the loss of some of the small town authenticity that a lot of the longtime residents remember and enjoyed. Lifestyle shifts. We are seeing overcrowding, increased tourism, and diminishing of the outdoor recreation access. Let's look at some of the key statistics that have been going on there in that area, which housing price increase, like we talked about in the past 5 years, has been close to 50%, with the median home price of what we were saying, about $359,066 in 2020, is now sitting at $700,000. Population growth, estimated growth since about 2020, about 12%. It has a median age of around 42. Primary exodus demographics. A lot of young professionals just with not enough to do. It's true. There's a big draw to that area if you like the outdoor life and like a lot that it has to offer as far as skiing and the lake. But a lot of those things don't lend to long-term fulfillment if there's other things that you're enjoying or needing, like jobs that can be found in some of these bigger cities. It does not lend to create enough job market for a lot of these young professionals, does not tend to have a huge singles life or nightlife or some of those things that a lot of these young professionals are looking for. Remote workers, with the cost of living going up so high there, a lot of these remote workers that have not seen the same increase in their incomes, is now much harder for them to live and work in those areas. A lot of outdoor enthusiasts. We just did a video on the outdoor enthusiasts here in this North Idaho area. North Idaho has a lot to offer outdoor enthusiasts. But I think some of these people are also looking for less crowded areas. I love to ski Schweitzer, and just in the past few years, even just the parking, the amount of time earlier in the morning that I have to leave just to get a parking spot has increased dramatically. They've had to increase the size of their parking. Parking has continued to be an issue up there in the last few years. Hiking trails, biking trails, the lakes, everywhere you go, we are seeing a lot more crowding than what we've had in the past. And we've got a lot of our elderly or older people that are on fixed income, or just, with the rise in taxes and some of these cost of living is really kind of pushing them out of their budget. So they're having to find a lesser expensive place that allows for a more comfortable living. Thinking about relocating to the North Idaho area? Well, I've got just the thing for you. My team and I have actually taken the time to create the ultimate relocation guide, which is meant to save you hours of research. And I've linked it down below. From top employers, the best hospitals, and a whole lot more information of things that you need to know before making the move. The best part is this guide is 100% free. That's right, it's 100% free. Just click the link in the description below or the top pinned comment. Hope this helped. Some of the economic challenges that we have seen there, again, going back to the housing affordability and the increased taxes as being the number one. The median home price, huge increase. Limited inventory with homes. There's not enough homes out there to really get a good choice of maybe what you're looking for. Increased competition from out-of-state buyers. Job market limitations. The jobs that pay the most are getting, a lot of people vying for those same opportunities. Seasonal tourism. Our spring and falls don't create a lot of tourism. Most of it happens in the summer. And let's face it, summer doesn't always feel very long up here. in June, we can have a day that's in the high 90s, close to 100. Next day, it can be 60. So it's hard to plan things. In July, we really started into our warm weather with the nicest weather being that July and August. And then September, we have about 2 weeks and then things start cooling off at that later part of September. So things really, of course, kids are back in school at that time. And so a lot of that tourism really drops off. So it's very seasonal summer. We do get a lot of people that like to come up over the holidays. I think Schweitzer does a great job attracting people to come up and ski and visit and spend some time in that downtown area with the great restaurants and some of that type of stuff. But we are a little bit limited on some of that. And then like we talked about, limited high-paying job opportunities are very few and far between. And then, of course, we've got the increasing cost of living that plays against a lot of that. So I think what we're going to start to see with this, what we have been seeing with this community transformation, is a real culture shift here in that area. That culture shift has been created by an influx of new people. Primarily, we see a lot of the influx from California and Washington transplants, changing of local demographics. We've seen a reduced sense of community. So in some of those certain areas, infrastructure strain, we're seeing a lot more infrastructure strain on our roads, on our water systems, on everything that has to do with, in some of the areas up here, there is a moratorium on building. Places like Spirit Lake, where they've seen a huge growth, and the water system and the sewer systems, some of these areas just can't keep up. And so until they can increase the demand of some of these things, we are seeing that in some of the other areas with the increased strain of increased traffic, stretched local services, school system challenges. We've certainly seen that in the Priest River area, where they had to shut down part of their school there just because they didn't have enough money to take care of everything that they need to. And they've seen huge growth, and we're getting huge growth all over up here in North Idaho in our school systems, where we're getting more and more kids per teacher. And so we're having to build new schools. And so there does create a real strain, and that strain comes back out because we have to have bonds, or we have to get money from somewhere, which a lot of times increases people's property taxes on a property tax system that for a lot of longtime residents feels like it has already gone up and up and up, and that's just one more thing. And a lot of times that's hard for, especially if you're retired, your kids are out of school, and maybe you're on a fixed budget, to want to, it's not that you're against school, it's just that you're like, there's only so much you can do to keep voting on higher monthly output for yourself. And so that makes it tough. And so in some of these areas, it's been hard to get some of these things passed to create additional money for the school systems. I don't think most want to argue that it's not a good thing, but sometimes it's like, how much is enough? How do we, where do we put a stop to the bleeding a little bit, and especially if you're on an income that really makes you have to budget, and then you're having to continue to look at it increased in that budget every year to things that really don't benefit you as a person, may benefit the community, but you don't see an instant gratification for yourself. So I get that. There's a lot of that going on, and I think as we keep getting newer, more and more people in some of these families, we will kind of see that change, that shift, that more of these things will get voted for. But as of right now, some of these areas, it's very hard to get that push through. Outdoor lifestyle changes. Let's talk a little bit about recreation access. Like we talked earlier, a lot of the trails are more crowded, reduced wilderness experience. So we're finding it harder and harder to find areas, especially as land gets bought off and we see the no trespassing, things get fenced off. The popular trails get more and more crowded. We get some of that property restrictions, and sometimes some of these places that people have been happy to allow access, they just can't do it anymore because of the amount of people, or people not taking care of the trails, or leaving trash or whatever that might be behind. We're going to see some change to the natural environment in these areas as things continue to grow. We're going to continue to see new subdivisions. We're going to see new homes being built. Land continues to get larger density as you go from these large parcels, 20 acres are now 10 acres that become 5 and then become 1, 2, and 3 acres. So to allow for some of these, and then a lot of times become subdivisions. We are seeing a lot of those changes with the environment and with the development, reduced wildlife habitat as we keep pushing some of the habitat out. And then we are going to see some environmental changes of trying to keep our waters clean, trying to keep enough water, trying to take care of the sewage and the litter and all these other things that larger crowds bring with air quality and everything else. So there is a real concern in a lot of these areas. We're not seeing a huge impact in some of them, but other areas in some of these ways, we have seen some big impact for those that have been longtime residents. I know that has been a big concern, and some of these longtime residents have just had enough, and they're saying, I'm moving out, I'm going to a place where it's a little quieter, a little smaller, and I'm not dealing with so many of the people and the changes with the community. Like and share our video. Leave any comments that you might have. Love to hear from you on your thoughts on what's going on out here with some of these communities. Do not forget to download our free relocation guide. If you have any questions at all about relocating here to the North Idaho area, give us a call, shoot us a text. We are never too busy for you. My team and I are never too busy for you, and we want to help make your move to North Idaho a smooth transition.